I said it before, I'll say it again. I think the metropolitan DC area has a great emerging film scene, and Thick is certainly proof of that. My first guests are DC native Anthony Greene and Alexandria native Cheryl Brown. Wow. Cheryl, Anthony, thanks for coming on the show. I've been excited all weekend to talk about this movie, Thick. First of all, congratulations. I was telling Anthony, I said, this is an award-winning film. I don't know what awards it's going to win, but you heard it here first on Picture Lock. It's an award-winning film.
Take it.
All right, so congratulations on doing an excellent film.
Thank you.
Yeah, so how did you two meet?
Here, actually.
Right here at AIM.
Right here at AIM.
You were doing television production. I was working on editing for something, and AIM was the place that we ended up meeting here and ended up working together from.
Wow. Okay. Man.
AIM does it.
Plug.
AIM
Right.
plug. That's right.
AIM
Come to
plug.
AIM. End up making movies. That happens.
You make award-winning films.
There you go.
Making new friends.
Okay, so what inspired your collaboration for Thick?
Actually, Anthony came to me with the story, and he was actually working on another film. And he came to me with the story and asked me if I would be okay with finish the writing up on it. It was awesome. I thought it was fantastic. I said, thank you for the opportunity, and that was it.
That simple, huh?
Yeah, because it's pretty much. I was
for me.
working on Enhancements War, and just getting into it, shooting it, and everything. And Thick is something I had laying around from before that, the story. And I started writing the script from it, and I kind of hit a roadblock where I got really, inundated with everything from the Henchman's War, and I wanted somebody I could trust to pick up where I left off and finish it out for me. And Cheryl has always been like right there, in some way or another to help out with the other projects, the festivals. So, and I knew that she did writing and directing on her own, so I asked her to come in and help finish it up, and she did. And it ended up working out great.
Wow.
And then from then it was like, well, do you want to direct it with me? Because I knew she had a chance to do it before, but she had never did it on this scale. And that's what it's about.
Awesome. So why a female crime boss?
Because it's more interesting than the male. I mean, honestly, whenever you see these type of movies, there's always the guy running around. And two things, black actresses in this area black actresses, period, don't really get roles that far outside of the box. They don't get to be Tony Montana. They don't get to be Don Corleone,
Right.
And you never know if it's going to change on the Hollywood level, but on an independent level, we can do whatever we want to do. And I wanted to shake it up. It was originally written for a male, and I said, no, I think it'd be more, interesting if we changed that male role to a female role with the same tropes. And Cheryl was all for it.
I thought it was really interesting. It was I didn't even think about it as a woman. And again, I didn't even think about it, but as soon as he brought the idea, I was like, I think that'll be awesome. And then the fact that we just changed that one character pretty much changed the dynamic of the whole movie.
Right. So was it like you literally had started out and it was a male, and then you were like, let's just turn it a we'll leave the female roles in the same, in terms of the love, and then
that's it.
That's all we did.
And that one change makes the movie completely original and unlike anything else out there.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you guys are both co-directors and writers of the film, and let me tell you, the environments and the characters that you created were very well-rounded. And as a film critic, I was able to look at the film and I could tell that these characters have backstory. Like, we're just coming in on this section of their lives, but I could see their backstory through their performances. So what influenced that? How did you all just write these well-rounded characters?
For me, with the initial story, when I got to revisit it, it was really from my trial and error with the Henchman's War. And you want to make sure that your actors understand who these characters are. And you want to make sure that the audience can pick up on the things about them that kind of transfer into who they are, where they are, and why they're going to react the way they do. And Cheryl and I talked a lot about Nina's character, the assassin, and what her background would be and where she would come from, and that stuff. A lot of that stuff might not transfer on film, but from a writing perspective, the more we know about them, then we'll know where we're taking it. We can make it be more believable for the audience.
Yeah.
So but it's really just a lot of conversations between the two of us, and really making sure that we just drop the right amount of information in there, so it's not inundated where we just telling you over and over again.
Right.
But you pick up on it. We trust our audience.
Yeah, definitely. Again, hats off. It was a great job. So I do have to ask. Like, I felt like I saw a little bit of Kill Bill in there. I don't know if that had any influence, but like even with the chapters, and then it felt like a little David Carradine like delivery. Like was that anywhere? And even the tunnel scene with the. Mm-hmm. That was like the.
That's Cheryl's the violent one. You asked her that question. All the violence came from Cheryl.
And
Right.
like women kind of doing the violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's very Quentin Tarantino-esque. But it's not the worn out cliche Tarantino-esque.
Right.
Because from Killing Zoe on down, they kind of worn out the whole Tarantino thing. But what I wanted to do was make smart people that had good dialogue and put them in these different positions. But a lot of that stuff, like the stuff with the chapters was, well, first of all, it was a web series. It was supposed to be a web series.
Gotcha.
And it was supposed to end on certain moments, and then you see the next episode. But when we realized that web series don't make any money, how do we make it into a feature without having to switch everything up? We're writing more for it. Well, let's make it chapters so that when something ends, we can go into the next chapter. And when people watch it, it's kind of like reading a book. You turn the page to the next thing. So it has a really, it's a soap opera feel to it. It's like, oh no, what's going to happen now? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was like that because it was going to be broken down in the episodes first. And then we compiled some of the episodes and then made it chapters, and that's how it had, it ended up, that way. But a lot of that stuff with ideas along the way and doing post-production to make it simple. Even the whole mag scene, we thought of that in a week. The whole Masquerade ball, we couldn't get a, what was the location?
We were trying to figure out a location for this kill. And we were going to make it into a gym and some other things, but things didn't come out the way we wanted them to, so we just had to come up with something else. And the Masquerade scene came with it like the week before. The fight scene actually came that night. We knew we were going to do it, but they actually learned all that stuff that night and shot it night.
Right, because when we said let's do a Masquerade scene, and then Cheryl was like, hey, it's this tunnel around there. Well, let's have them have a fight.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
And Dylan Hintz and the DC Stunt Coalition, they came on, and they put the fight together. Him and Ashley came out, put the fight together, and that whole scene, all the extras, everything was in 1 week of us just having the idea. Well, let's do that instead.
Right. Wow, that's crazy because I love that scene because for a second it was like, yo, this is R. Kelly video or something. I was like, who's this dude with the Masquerade? And then it's like Crazy 88, and then I was like, yo, this is dope. Again, like I said, I just think that there's so much local talent here in the DMV area, and I mean, this film is certainly proof of that. So I do also want to just touch on like some of the things that go into filmmaking. So like in terms of the writing process, what were some of the scenes that you all struggled with the most?
I think I struggled more writing the endings, the standoff scene. That was kind of difficult for me. I was trying to make it really intense. Did a little bit more than I thought, and Anthony's like, well, you just put a gun to this little boy's head. I know, I'm sorry. I had to apologize to his mom.
Yeah.
But I just figured that's what
like...
Teresa would have done, right? I just figured that's what her character would have done to grab Ronnie's attention.
Right.
So I think that was one of the scenes that kind of got me a little bit.
For me, it was the opening scene. That opening, we talked about it before. The opening scene of any movie is what weeds out if you're going to stick with it or not. I can tell within the first 5 minutes if I want to be on this journey or not. The opening scene for Thick is
so
really
much going on.
Episode 10.
He's got so much going on in his life.
The opening scene for Thick is really just telling the viewer you're dealing with a woman who's intelligent, who's ruthless, and you're dealing with a movie where anything can happen. And you got to be prepared for that going in. Everything else after that beginning just opens you up for anything can happen. You don't know where it's going to go. You know these people are going to have something to say, something to talk about. You got to pay attention to what they're saying. And that was tantamount to making sure the rest of the movie had a bar to stick with.
Right.
So that the opening scene, for me a lot, the opening scene is really the most important thing.
And I think you guys nailed it, because honestly, the opening scene for me was when I really got into it. First off, who did the score? Because the score is pulsing, right? And this is another question. I was like, as a director, did you all like play the music on set? Because like Biss and Elle was like walking to the beat, and I was like, okay, yeah. So the score was awesome, but then like the decision to do the stills with it, I was like, okay, so let me sit back. Where my popcorn at?
I made that beat like 6 years ago.
Oh, you make beats too?
And my friend,
God.
He does it all, I know.
my friend Mandel Jackson, who I've known for years, one of the, like my right hand man on a lot of stuff. You know, we couldn't really find what we were looking for, and we tapped Walter Spencer to help out with the score and everything, but we couldn't find the thing to open the movie with. And he said, I got some stuff you made some years ago. Maybe you need to listen to some of your older stuff. And we found that, and I was like, you know what? I must have made this back then for this because it's perfect. It fits perfectly.
Right.
It moves with it. It gets you in the mood for it. And then once you get that breakdown, the credits are done, and we go right into the classical music, and it's perfect. It gives you the perfect balance between the worlds. Like, this is classy, but it also has some trashiness too. You know what I mean?
Right. All right, so I think Tamika Chavis, she did an excellent job in casting the film. So what did you all tell her to look for in casting your characters, or was it all her, or was it like a collaborative effort?
You know, Tamika is really good with getting the word out, getting the actors in. She is an actress. She's worked on Anacostia, The Wire, stuff like that. So she knows how to get the word out, get the people in. She knows how to set it up. She's perfect with that. And then we would all sit in the room and get the people to come in, and we confer back and forth. And, you know, Thick was really hard to cast.
It really was.
For a lot of different reasons. A lot of the women read the sides and didn't want to do it. They thought the worst was going to happen. They thought it was going to be exploitative. I mean, you're dealing with lesbian crime people with a sex scene and intimacy, and, you know, and they just didn't want to touch it. Like, we would have people that were great who didn't want to come back, or we had people who had the Tyler Perry. Yeah, we had the Tyler Perry bug when the lines were read like, you know, Medea. I mean, you know, so it was really hard because I really wanted to make sure that we stepped the game up with it.
Right.
Like, when you saw Thick, it was not going to be like everything else that you normally see, especially independently produced on a micro budget.
Right.
And it was, we came across some great people.
Yeah.
So she was really good in helping us organize that and putting words in and saying who's directable and who could be pushed. And, you know, since we worked, you know, on Henchman's War together, you know, it was great. It was easy.
Awesome. Speaking of the cast, Tia Day.
Awesome.
Whoa, wow. Her performance to me was just incredible. What was it like directing such a force? And not only that, you know, the rest of the cast. And how are you guys as directors? Is it more hands-off, or like, you know, you got specific direction you give?
Well, for me, this was my first big production. So having Anthony to be right beside me and to learn from him, knowing that he has so much knowledge, and it was new for me. So I got to do a lot of learning on this set, although I've got to take my hands on and put my hands on some of it.
Right.
But I got to do a lot of learning. I got to do a lot of watching on this. Anthony was the man. You know, I got to really pay attention and really learn my craft, what I really wanted to do. He threw me in there, don't get me wrong. He threw me in there and would leave and say, here you go.
Yeah, I'm going to play PlayStation.
Yeah, I'm going to play PlayStation. You got this.
I'm going to go play.
So, but
Yeah,
I
the
had to,
PlayStation on set?
I was
Yeah,
playing
we had to,
Injustice.
you know, keep it
Injustice
cool.
just came out. I had to go
Injustice,
play, yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like,
Get
you
it
do
in.
that
That's
scene,
how
I'm
we
going to go play
do.
video games.
That's how
Nice.
we are as directors.
I like
there
that.
you go.
I like that.
Right. But you know what? Tia was originally going to be Nina.
Yes.
And my thing, Tia is a really strong actress. I never thought that she got used to the highest of her abilities. And you know, we were good. We can find a Ronnie, you know, but finding that lead and then finding somebody who could play, who had the physicality and presence of Nina, because Tia would have been a great Nina, but you know, it was a decision where I was like, you know what, Tia can play this lead. Tia can do this, and I spoke to her about it. And I really, some of the actors like Lefty's character, Ronald Bensonell, that was his when I wrote it. When I saw Ronald Bensonell, automatically knew it wasn't even a question.
Yeah.
He can play that role.
Right.
He has that demeanor about him. He has that slickness about him. He can play that role. You know,
Right.
he is that guy. You know, Caleb Jackson from Morrison, shoo-in. Knew it as soon as I saw him. As soon as I spoke to him about it, I got something I want to do with you in the future. That was a shoo-in. But Tia was, we moved Tia out of the way, and Chesita was our blessing, who came in to play Nina.
Right.
Chesita and Pascal were our blessings on the film, because those were the ones that we really didn't know definitively who were going to be able to play those roles to the fullest and bring what they brought to it.
And they were the last ones cast.
Wow. Integral roles as well. Man, so, okay. Omar Juarez created just stunning images for the film. So how did you all approach the collaboration for the vision of the picture? Because he used so many practical lights to also paint the palette, which really worked for the film. A lot of it is kind of like in those nightclubs, or and just the colors that came out. Just, it was beautiful.
Well, if Omar is a great DP. He's a great cinematographer. He knows how to use his colors, saturations, and stuff like that. And I wanted something to be completely different than The Henchman's War. And when I saw his reel and the way that he brought the colors out and the way he used natural lighting, I knew definitively he had what I wanted for Thick. And I told him, I said, I want this to be more vibrant. I want the colors to pop. I want the world to just have more visual stimulation than The Henchman's War, because it was just really, really dark.
Right.
And that's pretty much the reason why I brought him on, because I wanted him to bring those colors and that type of vibrancy to the film.
Awesome. So, camera placement. That's the one thing for me as a director. Sometimes, I struggle the most with. But I think you all did a great job, especially even camera movement. Just integrating that into the scenes where it helps push the scene forward. But aesthetically it looks good, but at the same time it's not just doing doing a little dolly just to do the dolly, you know what I mean? So was there a lot of storyboarding that went into the production, or how did you guys?
We just did a lot of talking.
We just talked. We didn't storyboard anything.
Yeah, we just talked a lot.
Like the scene you did with the young ladies in the bedroom when they were talking, when you came down from the crane shot, I like to keep the camera still as much as possible. And I think it should only move when I need the audience to move a certain way. I think it's best to keep it still, to let the actors act and let the audience just take their time to get into the scene. And then when I move, it has to be for a purpose. Now, Cheryl,
But then sometimes I want to get artistic.
Right.
And there it is. Sometimes you just want to get artistic and see how it works out. And fortunately, it worked out.
Right.
Okay.
And then meld it between the two of us, because sometimes I would leave out and let her just have the complete scene and work with Omar and let them just do their thing and not worry about it as much. I mean, it takes a lot of trust, because I could just be in the next room going crazy. Right. But, we had that trust.
And PlayStation.
And the PlayStation. So really quickly as we wrap up, what are your plans for the future? Any projects you're working on individually and as well as collaboratively? Because y'all got to work together again, because that was just too good. So.
Well, we've actually got, for Thick, we've got 2 more movies to go. So it's a trilogy. I like that. I like that reaction. So it actually is a trilogy. So we've got 2 more movies to work on together.
Okay. Sweet.
Right, so our executive producer, once he saw the first one, he was like, okay, I want you to make 2 and 3. And we want you to make them simultaneously. And I was like, really? Right. So we are, right now, we are writing 2 and 3.
Nice.
And we're going to shoot them back to back this year coming up.
Okay. Man.
So, so that's it. Just making sure Thick gets seen. We're going to show it again this month.
Yes.
on the 21st.
Where at?
West End. We're going back to West End for another screening.
Okay.
And then we got some people that called in from North Carolina, Atlanta. They wanted to bring it there. Throw it in a couple of festivals, and then I think we're going to go straight to DVD. So
Awesome.
so we're getting it out there now.
Listen, you heard it here first. Award-winning film. When it happens, just be like,
And he said
Kev,
it
yo,
first,
you were
right.
right.
Right. Said it first. Somebody said it. So. But yeah,
Right.
definitely. We just want to get it out there. You know, we got other stuff that we want to work on. I have a short film I want to do next year, just to get my hands a little dirty with something I want to do in 2015. But we're on board for Thick 2 and 3.
Awesome. Well, guys, again, congratulations, and I mean this from the heart. Congratulations on a really great film.
Thank you.
And not only that, I just look forward to seeing, what you all continue to do in the future, because you guys are really representing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well,
Thank
thanks
you.
again for coming on the show.
All
It's
right.
great having you
Thank
guys.
you.
Over here. Thank you. Thank you for the water.
Thank you, love.
My man.